Shalom Yahbashim Yahweh Barakatham. Shalom Yah Shamar Latabashim Yahweh. This is Priest and Officer Gatab, ISUPK Detroit. And of course, we have another lashawan qadash class every Friday. And we're currently and constantly taking back our culture, making that change in the world, being that example of peculiar people as the scripture calls us, as we gather ourselves together in these last days. And as a short reminder, the Feast of Dedication is coming up. I believe it will be on December 8th. Coming up, next Friday? Yeah, December 8th, 7th, 8th. And it's going to be an 8-day feast, so be prepared for that. Make sure you get with your counts, your camp leader. Check the dates. Everybody take a minute, like, share, and subscribe. Help spread the truth. And then if you have any questions in the chat, go ahead, put those in. I'll give you a second before we get started. My rib said the sound is good. So I think we good. All right, like we always do, we start off with the alphabet. So today, actually, I was supposed to go tense. Last week, past tense. The week before that, we went over the present tense. This week, we were supposed to go over future tense. We'll do that next week. I don't even want to give y'all a reason why Salaki. I'm gonna just say we're gonna do that next week. And then we're gonna put them all together in one solid class. I have some new examples. One of the things that I was thinking about was it was something when I was growing up and I was taking Spanish in school. In this transition, like when you conjugate certain words, it was easier for me to remember them because conjugations was just in a simple cluster. So o, as, I, almost, on was your conjugations for I through pretty much them in Spanish. If you wanted to say I worked, it was trabajo instead of trabajar. You know, if it was we worked, it was trabajamos because amos was the we. And it's kind of the same thing in the Hebrew. So you have like the a thigh and a thumb, those stay the same. You have the Nawa, which is kind of like the hour. Those kind of stay the same. So I was gonna set those out, present, have those in a similar way. I feel like it'd be easier to grasp that way. So when I'm ready to present that, that's how I'm gonna do it. But other than that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Put this good old alphabet on the board, and of course, if you want, go ahead and say it as you go. It helps for that memorization of it. You're saying it as you write it, seeing it as you say it and you write it. So you're getting it three different ways. You got your aba, ga, da, ha, wa, da. Well, maybe I shouldn't. Y'all said, y'all tell me what. And of course, practice on your penmanship or your script, because that's going to be big help when reading and recognizing these characters throughout the various different texts that they may come in. I think I wrote these kind of big today. So you have your aba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, Sa, pa, I, taza, kwa, ra, sha, and tha. It'll get to the point where no matter what you look at, you should be able to just call it out, not necessarily in a particular order, but the more you use it, the more you say it, the more you get familiar with it, the easier it's gonna come out. Um, I don't feel like fighting with the Assyrian today, but I am. See, because practice makes perfect. So I be writing my eyes like that sometimes. That's how I be writing my eyes. I seen somebody write it like that, and I thought it was dope. So, oh no, because it's wrote like that on the board. Shout out to Officer Laban. And the rest of these, I'm gonna kind of just do them real. I ain't gonna say real quick, but you'll see. Try not to be. It can be hard. These. Thank you, baby, for catching that. See, Ray was paying oh so much attention. I do want to find a better way to write my Maz. I feel like that looked too close to it. All right, put a one in the chat if y'all like the way I write my Ma. If y'all don't worry about it. I find a better one for that. So yeah, that one threw me off. Cause I just threw me off a little bit one time. All right, and of course, the pronunciations will be the exact same. A lot of the times, you might see in some of the Bible apps, you'll see something that we call Yiddish. You'll see stuff with E in it and different letters that aren't in our alphabet. And that's just because a bastardized dialect kind of took over it. So pay attention to that. I remember early on I started writing with that, and it got to the point trying to translate it, and I was kind of mixing. I wasn't paying too much attention. I was mixing a little bit of Yiddish with the lashawan or our Hebrew. So be careful with that. It's usually the top ones in an app that you shouldn't use. But just look out for letters that aren't in our alphabet, like E's and stuff like that. All right, moving on. Don't mind the cameraman. We're gonna get some vocabulary on the board. She had a good sheet, yeah. We're gonna be working with some W words. Let's get them on the board. So I'm gonna try to get 2 sets, at least 10 to 12 on the board. And definitely want to start building up our vocabulary. The more words we know, the more words we use, and the easier it is when we put together sentences to learn this language or attempt to learn this language. So weight in the Hebrew is ka. Let's see if you guys can actually get that out. So what I want you guys to do is actually write out what that would be in the Hebrew. What would that be in the Hebrew? And then, matter of fact, I'll write them all out in green, give you a minute, let you write it out in the Hebrew, and we'll see what we got. To walk or go is halak. To want is ratazah. Warrior is gabar. Was is hayatha. And waste is the hall. Now, with the information that we've given in previous classes, with the information that you've got today, just by seeing the alphabet, could we get those in the Hebrew characters? I'm going to give y'all about 2 minutes to get that on the board. And of course, I'll put up the Hebrew and we can check our answers from there, and we'll put up one more set and continue. But as a side note, I do want to go on a little baby rant. So you see what season it is. So we've been in this holiday season, or quote unquote holiday season. And I want to share a scripture with you guys. And this might be a scripture we break down next class. But that scripture is Jeremiah. And we're going to start at the 10th chapter and the first verse. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. So remember, this Bible is very possessive. It's very clear in its speech as well. They send us through these grade schools over here in this Western society where they teach you grammar and they teach you reading and comprehension and pronunciation and punctuation marks and this and that, just for them to not use it when it comes to the scripture. How convenient is that? How convenient is that? So what are they doing? What is the intentions of that? The intentions of that is to, of course, mislead. That scripture that I just read is specifically for a group of people. It's not for everybody. And when you read throughout the Bible, you'll see that that's the same narrative throughout the entire Bible. The entire Bible. It doesn't get ambiguous all of a sudden. It's still very specific. Now, if you don't have certain knowledge or if you don't have certain understanding, you might come into parts that might be a little bit confusing, like when it deals with certain Gentiles and who's a Gentile. That might be confusing. But if you consider this, that the Bible does not contradict itself, and it's going to keep the same energy from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. The scripture says, the Lord changes not. And I'm paraphrasing. So we got to understand that there's something that the world does that the Most High doesn't. We don't change laws the Most High doesn't change laws every 10 or 4 years or whenever next voting season comes up due to the population it wants to, appease to. The same laws has been around since the Most High created us and breathed the breath of life into Adam, which we knew was given those laws, statutes, and commandments. So that being our power, we kind of need to stay with that and don't get sidetracked with all of the commotion that we have out here. But to continue, verse 2, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. So what do we have here? You have customs of people that are vain. In this particular custom, somebody goes and cut a tree out of forest. And they said with the workmanship or the workmen with the axe, the hands of the workmen with the axe. Verse 4, they deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. Now, just by saying deck it with silver and gold, we can automatically go straight to one of those holiday songs that they play every year from the time Thanksgiving starts until New Year's. They probably play, I think it is a radio station. It just plays all Christmas songs. But they deck it with silver and gold. They nail it up so it doesn't move. That sounds like somebody went out, cut a tree down, brought it in their house, decorated it, stood it up. You know that little thing that they put it in so the Christmas tree don't fall over? And they got the little nails that they screw, to it stand up straight. That sounds like a very similar custom that the Bible just told you, learn not the ways of. And it was clear. It wasn't even something that you can kind of misconstrue. Now, some people say, well, because it getting into verse 5, it says, they are upright as a palm tree, but speak not. So then they want to get stuck on palm tree. So guess what? In certain regions, certain trees don't grow everywhere. Simple as that. So just because an evergreen tree doesn't grow in certain areas of the Middle East and a palm tree doesn't grow certain areas of the Midwest, under every green tree, as the scripture says, that's the whole point of it. The act of it. Don't be so simple and say if somebody tries to use a tactic of simplicity or, I don't know, a play with words, and they try to say, well, the Bible said a palm tree. It didn't say evergreen tree. Stop it. Don't be that foolish. Don't be that guy that says, well, you didn't say I couldn't take, you said don't take all of them. I left one. Come on, bro. It was 100 in the box. I said don't take all of them. You took all of them but one. Bruh, what are you doing? Don't be that guy. But the scripture is very clear. Learn not those ways of the heathen. Don't be dismayed at the signs of custom, at the signs of heaven, as the heathen are. Those customs are vain, and you see what it puts us through every year. Our people go into debt. Children get out of order around the time of Christmas and their birthday. You're lying to them already, telling them a fat white guy's coming down the chimney to drop off gifts that you worked all year for to save up for. You went into debt. Some of you women out there probably sold your bodies for some Christmas gifts. Men too. Like, it's there's certain men out here that's switching more than these females out here, so we just gonna leave that at that. Purple gang. But I digress. So, moral of the story: F Christmas. Can I say that, my lord? F Christmas. Kind of one kind. I don't think we'll get banned for saying F. Now, if we get banned for saying F, look, we already know the devil is the, well, I can't say that. The pink man is the devil the Bible speaks of. So what we got here? You want to do one? You got one? We'll find out. All right. So, all right. Before I'm gonna give you just a heads up. So when you write out the Hebrew characters, all right. You got it now? Go ahead. Uh-oh. Take my word. I think you got to do another one. I don't know if you was looking at my cheat sheet. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You got to do one more. All right, do this one. Do was. See if you got it. Nuh-uh. I want you to do rock. One. Yep. Mm. That is wrong. But guess what? This is actually a really good example. Like dead. Like this is a really good example. So hey, so look. Hey, no, no, you got no, but no. This is a good example. Like, all right. So look. This is what was done. So she got the rye. Good job. Now the tazah. You broke down the tazah as in the ta and the za when there actually is a tazah. You know what I mean? But that's a good lesson though. Right. Dead, and then you put the ha at the end. Well, you like that is the best wrong answer I've seen. Like you got something red on your neck. So we gonna so we go we go we go put the correct answer on the board. You got the ra, you got the tazah, and then you got the ah. Ra tazah. Good job though. Like that's something that if you're not paying attention, and honestly for a beginner, that would make sense. Like if you're going through and you're pronouncing it out, well, yeah, I see a ta, clear as day. I see a za. You know, so shout out to the sister. Good job. All right, let's get the rest of these on the board. We got Halak, Warriors, Gabar, was is Hayathaso. See if I got that right. And ha, what? I get those last two. Let's see if I got those. Oh, that boy getting good. He getting good. There you have it. We can look that out. So there you have it. Give you a quick second to get those down. Screenshot that on your phone. Pause it. Save it real quick. Get that in. And we'll put that next set on the board. We'll go over one of the prayers. And then we'll start translating a verse. And then next week, we will finish up on the future tenses. And then the week following after that, we'll put the lesson of the past, present, and tenses all together in a slightly different class. So, all right, let's get this off the board. All right. So we're gonna have the same thing. We're gonna do the same thing. Matter of fact, we're gonna split these in two. I'm gonna write the Hebrew characters out on the top ones and see if we can get you guys to put out the pronunciations and flip it and do the vice versa the next three. All right. Let me make sure I turn this mic off real quick because I got it. All right. Watch is no. All right. So what we have on the board, I give you a few minutes. We have 6 words. We have watch, water, wave, way, weapon, and weak. And this week is like days of the week, not weak as in weak-minded, puny weak, weak arms, weak muscles. Nah, we ain't talking about that weak. So the first 3, I have the Hebrew characters on the board. And for poops and giggles, let me see if I can get this Arabic on. I mean, this Syrian up here. What was Shah? Shah. I think this was the Ma and the Ra. Let's see, did I get that right? That look about right. That was off the dome too, y'all. And we just did the Ma. That Ma like that. Write my Ya like that and another Ma. Yeah. So then we got the Na. See, I had to do a little pause on that one. It slowed me down. That nah, I had to look on the board, my cheat sheet. So the nah kind of looks like that. Yeah. And the pa looks like an upside down G. All right, so do y'all have the pronunciations on the board yet? You have it written down yet? That's my volunteer. Is there any volunteers who wanna? Okay. Let's see who got one in there. All right. I'm gonna let you choose whichever one you want to do. I appreciate the zeal in this, sister. Learning the language. Oh, look at the zeal of that sister. She said, I'm going to do all 3 of them. It's not a problem. It's nothing. It's nothing. All right, let's see what we got. So for watch, she put shamar. And guess what? That was the word that we used for the last couple classes. Shamar means to watch. We have a shamar department. We have watchmen over Israel, you see? The next word is water. Water. However you pronounce it. Water. And that is All right, so oh no, she did it right, and I'll take the blame for that one because I didn't do that. So she wrote it how it was wrote up there. So the only difference would be you put the ya and the ma together and it makes yum. So we have a sister in the school that's named Sister Shemayim. Shemayim. But Mayum is definitely water. So wave is Nayapa. Let's see. Well, this one, I did put it up there. But guess what? It's so much in the ballpark that I can't even say it's wrong, you know. It's a little wrong. All right, she said it's wrong, so yeah, the sister right is wrong. Nah, you too wild, sister. But all right, we're gonna get the next three up. So I'll do the next three. So you have your da, you have your ra, and that looks like that's the ka, which is the hard ka. And there's no A after it, so I'm assume it's connected. And just do that. And let's see if I got it right. Yep, I got it right. Let's go to the next one, za. And then you have your ya and your na. There's no A after the N. So I'm going to assume that the ya and the na is connected. For weapon is Zion. That will be correct. And Shabawi or Shabawai. Shabawai. I think it might be pronounced Shabawai. Like it, my lord. This word be pronounced kind of one kind. We're going with Shabawai. Kind of one kind. That's what we're going with. So you have your sha, you have your ba, you have your wa, and you have your I. See if I got that right. Yep. I didn't put my little. And there you have it. Give you a second to get that good old vocabulary in. So now, as you see, it's becoming easier and easier to see a word, to see the Hebrew, actual in the Hebrew characters, and put it in its Hebrew pronunciation, and vice versa. Now, as you're doing this with the, if you want to call it the cheat sheets or your alphabet sheets, or you're using your notes, that's fine because it's just the same as when you're doing it from memory. It's just your notes is going to be in your head, but the process is the same. So if you can do it on paper using your notes, you can definitely do it in your head eventually. Practice makes perfect. All right. So this next section, what I wanted to do was do a little bit of reading and pronunciation out loud. I feel like a lot of people sometimes do things in their head, not out loud, which is fine. So if you're reading over the scriptures and you're reading to yourself in your head, you might be flowing through it. When I was in school, they used to always tell you when you proofread your papers that you turn in, read it out loud and read it slow word for word. Because a lot of the times you'll have what you wanted to say in your head and you'll be looking at your paper saying what you want it to say or what you think it's saying, and it's not actually saying that. Not those exact words. You might be missing pronunciations, letters, all of the above. So the actual reading of it and out loud being able to pronunciate it is actually key and kind of important. And reading over the Hebrew prayers, even I believe it's like Psalms 83. Like that one in particular, to me, I want to be able to pronunciate the words as it should be pronunciated, or enunciated. Eventually, I'm gonna look up the difference between pronunciate and enunciate. So, what we're gonna do today is since that is our longest prayer, that's the one that we're going to read. We're going to read it nice and slow and try to get those pronunciations clear. And then we're going to end off on any questions, give it to the room. Whoa. Shouldn't have did that last spin. All right, so we got Psalms 83 on deck. Psalms 83. Like the prayers that we go through, the scriptures that we say. I mean, when you really like everything in the Bible is heavy. I mean, if you just take your time, look at it, and apply it to real life application, that's what makes this school so heavy. This universal and practical knowledge that we giving our people. But there's a lot of wisdom in Psalms 83, and it's very clear. So I'm going to get it in the Hebrew first, and then we're going to go over it in the English. So, Psalms 83 in the Hebrew, Alahayim. Now, if you want, you can follow after me if you want. You don't have to. If you're a little bit nervous, do it in your head first. And then after a while, you can start whispering them. But get your pronunciations out. You want to be able to say them. Because in your head, you can say it. You're not going to get tongue-tied in your head. It's only when you actually start opening your mouth to actually speak it that you might come into some issues. When I first started reading it, it was hard getting a Western mentality out of my head in reading the Hebrew. It was like I was pronunciating things as I was reading it in English, and it was sounding, just real bad, Anyway, Alahayim, Al Dalayamaka, Al Thakarash, Al Thashakwat, Al Kayahana, Awayabika. That's a word right there. I'm going to write that one on the board. Awayab. And based off of my last few lessons and what I've kind of been learning, I feel like your ka can be isolated, while ya y might be a part of the. Nah, I ain't going. What was that rule? That rule last week, add a Y between the first and the second character. Let's see if the student gets it. Uh-oh, she looking at her notes. Find the one that talks about adding something between the first and the second character. First and the second letter. Okay. She might have missed that class. All right, I think that might have been the first class. Present tense. Yeah. Okay. She only has the past tense. So that makes sense. So the present tense, there was a rule that was given that between the first and the second letter, you add something, and I believe it was a Y. It was something that I didn't memorize myself yet. I'm interested enough that I'm gonna go look at my notes. One second, we're gonna get this answer real quick. And while I'm looking up this, if anybody has any questions about Jeremiah chapter 10, starting at verse 4, you can start at verse 1. Feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, so if it was feminine, the rule was add a Y between the first and the second letter of the root word and the I at the end. Alright, so that wasn't that tense. It was close though. I was on it. See, I was trying to put it together now. But that's how it works. When you learn something, you start seeing stuff inside of it. Just like when we were learning the prefixes and suffixes, we started to identify what the prefixes was. So, like when every time we see Abanawa, we understand that Nawa is our, for our father. You pick that up real quick, and then you'll see that the root word in that word Abba is father. All right, let's continue. Kayahana Awayabyaka Yahamayawan Ra'ash Al Imyaka Ya'imyam Yawa. That's a nice one to put on the board. Ya'ira Yamwa. Ya'imyam Yawa Sawada Wayatha Ya'awatazawa Ya'atazawa Wa'atha Ya'atazawa Al Tazapawanyaka Amarwa Amarwa Lakawa Wanakankitum Wagalwa Wala'a Yazakar Shumyasha'ala Awada Kaya Naya Watazawa Laba Yakadwa Alyaka Barayath Yakawathwa Ahalia Adawam Wayashamai Alayum Mawa'aba Wagarium Wahagarium Salakia Wahagarium Gabal Wa'amawan Wa'amalak Palashath Aim Yeshabia Tazawar Gum Ashawar Nalawa Aimaim Hayawa Zarawai Labunya Lawat Salah Ashalahum Kamadian Kasayasara'a Kayabian Banakar Kawashawan Nashamadwa Ba'ayanda Ra'a Ha'awa Daman La'adama Sha'athamwa Nadiyamawa Ka'arab Wakaza'aba Wakazabak Wakatazar Mana'ai Kal Nasayakamwa Ashar Amarwa Nairasha Lanawa Ath Na'awath Alahayum Alahaya, Shayathumwa, Kagogula, Kakwash, Lapunya Roraka, Kaash, Thabaira, Yaira, Wakala, Talakia, Wakala Haba, Wakala Haba, Thalahat, Harayum, Kantharadatma, Basa Irika, Wabasawa Pathka, Thabahalum, Mala'ai, Punyahum, Qualyawam, Wayabakwashua, Shumka Yahawa, Yabashua, Punyahum, Qualyawam, Wayabakwashua, Shumka Yahawa, Yabashua, Wayabaholya, Wayabaholwa, Wayabahalwa, Adya I, Wayakaparwa, Wayabadwa, Wayadaiwa, Kaya Atha, Shumka Yahawa, Labatka, Alyawan, Alkaha Ratnasa. Yeesh! Alright. I needed a sip of wine after that one. Alright, now let's get that into English. Now, as I was reading it, because I slowed down, honestly, it was a little bit harder to pronounce them. Like, I pretty much probably memorized them in a rhythm at a pace outside of that pace because I'm not extremely familiar with every intimate pronunciation of every character or word. As I slow down, I might second guess what I know to be the pronunciation and try to pronunciate it as like it was English and it's a whole different language. So, that's what kind of stumbles brothers up sometimes. But like I said, practice makes perfect. But let's go ahead and get it in English so we know what we said. Because speaking in tongues is not foaming at the mouth and making noises. The scripture says, if there's more than 2 to 3 people in a church and there not be an interpreter, let one that is quote unquote speaking in tongues keep silence in the church. It is more edifying than for me to speak 3 words that people can understand than 10,000 words that people can't understand. It's not something unknown as most people try to make it be. It's another language. So every instance in scripture that you see where people were given that gift of speaking in tongues, because the scripture says as the Spirit gives you utterance, every time they were given that gift, it was for the edification. Somebody was there and they heard what they said in their language. It wasn't like, oh, now this person that heard it can speak an unknown language as well. No, just like at the day of Pentecost when the Spirit came on those Jews, those devout men out of all nations, guess what? Every man heard what they were saying in their own tongue. In their own tongue. So if it was a man from Cambodia, he heard what the brothers were saying in Cambodian. Simple as that. Alright, so Psalms 83 in the English from the top. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh. Of course the English is going to say God, but we know that God is a title. It's not a proper name. Like, if I go to China right now, they're not gonna translate my name into the Chinese way of saying David. They're gonna just call me David. Yeah. Oh, Slovakia. The water. You're right. See, look. I was questioning, like, who is that? So I just gave my slave name out. But same instance, so I would go over there and I would tell them my name is Katab. They're not gonna translate Katab in Chinese and try to tell me my name in Chinese. I mean, they might do it for like, hey, here's what your name sounds like, but other than that, my name is my name. Like it's proper. It's gonna stay that regardless if I'm saying it in Arabic, African, Swahili, doodoo Egyptology, whatever, nonsense. It'll be the same. All right, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They've made a tumult. That's what they've made around the children of Israel. And they have definitely lifted up the head. You know what that means? Is when you stick your nose up in the air. You all proud. They lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consorted against thy hidden ones. Notice, like I said in the beginning of the scripture, the Bible is very specific. It's very detailed. It says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and against thy hidden ones. That sounds possessive. It doesn't sound all inclusive. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. So that lets you know that there's somebody out here, or a conglomerate of people out here that's trying to cut one group of people out here from being a nation. That the name of Israel or Yasha Allah may be no more remembrance. Now it is interesting about this. Like they say, those small hats over there in our land are the true Jews. That's what they try to say. So there's issues with that. I have issues with that. So one of the things that you see in Deuteronomy, those curses in Deuteronomy 28, those curses were to be as a sign and a wonder for us. So a sign lets you know, it identifies something. It lets you know, it gives you information about something. That's what those curses were to us. So that's how we would identify the children of God in the last days. Because the scripture lets us know that he only deals with Jacob and Israel this way. He has not dealt so with any other nation. It's not all inclusive. As I keep reading, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasha Allah should be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. So there's only one group of people on this planet right now that doesn't know who they are past their last captivity. Like even Africans, like Hamite Africans, know that they're from the tribe of Dudu, or African booty scratcher. Remember we used to call people that in school? Remember we used to whatever tribe they're from, that's what they say they're from. They just don't claim a whole continent. You see that? They don't do that. We, on the other hand, we do that because we the ones that have been cut off from being a nation of people. We're the ones that don't know who we are past our last captivity. Everybody else knows. A Chinese person knows they're from China. Asian, and so on down the list. For they have consorted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom. When it says the tabernacles, they're talking about the houses of Edom. We have to be mindful that Edom, which is Esau, which is the pink man, those tabernacles or those houses, you gotta consider that they would have tribes too. So don't let them fool you and try to say, well, he's white, but he's something else. No. A German, a Russian, a Ukrainian, a European, a British, um, one of them Australians. They're all Edomites, Idumeans. They're all oppressors. They're all from the same nation of people, just like we'll all be Israelites. But there's 12 tribes of us. You have some of us that live in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Some of us that live in the United States and so on. We're scattered out. But it's one nation of people. So don't let that fool you about the tabernacles of Edom. Anyway, the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashur's also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kizon. And every time I read that line, I always think of Lord of the Rings. I'm like, this is where they get that stuff from. I'm telling you, these people, especially in the movie industry, they pick some of the greatest stories out the Bible, and because you don't read your own book, you don't know your own history, you don't know that that's a biblical story. You're just like, oh, M. Night Shyamalan is one of the greatest, or Walt Disney, or what's that big producer? Well, anyway, Steven Spielberg is so great. He stole a lot of ideas from our book. Some of our greatest stories are movies that you have already gave to another race of people. Like, just think of the Ten Commandments. You still see the Ten Commandments play every year at times, and do they have the depiction of our people in the Ten Commandments? Matter of fact, I don't even think you see a black person in that movie at all. You see what I'm saying? Um, which perished at Endor, they became as dung for the earth, make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zeba and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession. O Yahweh, make them like a wheel. That wheel is like, that little, like on those westerns, that little circular bush that be blowing in the wind. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. As the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth a wood, as the flame setteth the mountains on fire, so persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Yahweh. Let them be confounded in trouble forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, are the most high over all the earth. And that's a cut for all of them Israelites, fake Israelites, Christians that try to say that the Bible doesn't say that that's his name. It clearly says that's his name, Psalms 83. And with that being said, we got any questions in the room? If there's no questions in the room, I do want to give another reminder that the Feast of Dedication is coming up, I believe, in 1 week. It should be next weekend. It's an 8-day feast, a glorious story of triumph, and you're only going to find that in the Apocrypha. Where will you find the Apocrypha? You will find the Apocrypha in your 1611 King James Bible. Yes, in it. And it will be called the Book of Maccabees. Alright, with that being said, we're going to give a courtesy salute. May the Israel Majim. Courtesy salute to the teacher. Imagine. And we're gonna give a courtesy salute to the sister. You ready? Yahweh Shemar Latha Bashim Yahweh Shah. Shoot. Yeah, you have to look at the phone. Yeah. That's what's up. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get at y'all next week, next Friday. I'm gonna come back with those future tense. That's the next week. Future tense. We did past. We did present. Next week is gonna be the future tenses. If you got any questions, anything you want to go over, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll check it out. Maybe I can make a lesson out of it. If it's something that you think I need to do better, go ahead and let me know. I'll take it in consideration. If you're a man above me, I'll follow that order. All right. Shalom, Lord Christ, Israel.